Joaquin Andujar was a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball who played for 13 seasons from 1976 to 1988. He played for 3 teams, the Houston Astros, St. Louis Cardinals, and Oakland Athletics. In his career, he has a record of 127 for 118 across 2,153 innings pitched, over 300 games started, and over 400 total games played. He holds a lifetime 3.58 ERA, 99 adjusted ERA, a 1.276 whip, and 16.1 WAR. In addition to his stats, he placed in the top 7 in Cy Young voting 3 times, and was selected to 4 All-Star games. While it may seem like Andujar had a decent career at best, he was an instrumental piece in 2 of the Cardinals' World Series runs in the 1980s. This includes a 1.35 ERA across 13 1/3 innings pitched in 2 games during the 1982 World Series. He won both of his starts, the latter of which was the deciding Game 7. There's been only 43 pitchers in MLB history ever to win Game 7 of the World Series. When you're part of that exclusive list, I'd say that's quite the accomplishment. This video, however, is not about his postseason performances. It's about 2 unusual seasons he had in the mid-1980s as a member of the St. Louis Cardinals. In 1984, Andujar went 20-14 across 261 1/3 innings pitched and 36 games started. He earned a 3.34 ERA, 105 adjusted ERA, a 1.102 whip, and was worth 3.4 WAR. In 1985, he went 21-12 across 269 2/3 innings pitched and 38 games started. He earned a 3.40 ERA, 105 adjusted ERA, a 1.287 whip, and was worth 2.2 WAR. On the surface, nothing seems unusual or bizarre about those 2 seasons. All of those stats have been achieved thousands of times throughout MLB history, and with the exception of the innings pitched, we'll see them all again plenty. It's true that the stats aren't unique in and of themselves. What is noteworthy about these 2 seasons is the fact that Joaquin Andujar won 20 or more games with an adjusted ERA at or lower than 105 twice. Winning 20 or more games is a notable pitching milestone, and obviously, one has to typically be a good pitcher to tally that many victories. Yes, it's true an average or even poor pitcher can win many games, but it's rare. Andujar not only was able to win 20 plus games while being slightly above average, he did it in back-to-back seasons. For anyone not too familiar with adjusted ERA, basically, it's an advanced statistic that determines how good a pitcher's ERA is compared to the league average. 100 is the average, and anything above that is better than average, and anything below is worse than average. A 105 adjusted ERA means Andujar's ERAs in those seasons were only 5% better than average. A 5% difference is such a tiny distinction, it hardly should be considered noticeably good, and yet, Andujar still won 20 and 21 games respectively. Winning that many games while being that average of a pitcher does not happen often, and Andujar's distinction of achieving it twice is an anomaly. Just how much? To see just how much of an anomaly Joaquin Andujar's 2 seasons are, let's compare them to other seasons all time. In the history of Major League Baseball, there have been 136 instances of a pitcher winning at least 20 ball games in a single season while achieving an adjusted ERA of 105 or lower. However, that number may be misleading, as many of those 136 seasons occurred before the modern era, a time where pitchers started more than 40 games a season, even often more than 50 games. When you have a crazy amount of opportunity to win games, chances are you'll eventually get to 20 just based on the sheer amount of starts made. Looking solely at the modern era, which is 1900 to present day, there have been only 61 seasons where a pitcher won 20 or more games with an adjusted ERA at or lower than 105. If we strictly look at the live ball era, which is 1920 to present day, it has now happened only 36 times. Of those 36 seasons, Andujar is one of 2 pitchers to achieve this feat more than once. The only other pitcher since 1920 to win 20 or more games with a 105 or lower adjusted ERA in a single season was Art Neff. His 2 seasons occurred in 1920 and 1921 for the New York Giants, right on the cusp of the live ball era. Not only has he been the only pitcher in the last 100 years to do this, there's only been a single occurrence since Andujar to accomplish this. Jack Morris of the 1992 Toronto Blue Jays won 21 games with an adjusted ERA of 101. Since that season in 1992, The lowest adjusted ERA by a 20-game winner was 107 by John Burkett of the 1993 San Francisco Giants. To compare Andujar's season to a modern example, since 2010, there has been only a single occurrence of a pitcher posting an equal or lower adjusted ERA and coming within one win of 20. That was achieved by Colin McHugh of the 2015 Houston Astros, who won 19 games with an adjusted ERA of 100. Something else notable, one of Andujar's 20-win seasons occurred on a Cardinals team that just barely finished over 500, an 84-78 record, or a .518 winning percentage to be precise. That is a noticeably low winning percentage to feature an average or so pitcher win that many games. Sticking with the live ball era, Andujar is just one of 7 pitchers to ever win 20 or more games with a 105 or lower adjusted ERA on a team with that low of a winning percentage. That might have only happened to one of Andujar's seasons, but is still notable nevertheless. As mentioned before, winning 20 games is not easy. It usually requires much skill and luck. Pitchers need to be able to limit runs while their team scores more than the opponent, and the bullpen behind the starter needs to support the lead as well. So the question is, how did Andujar do it? In 1984, when Andujar won 20 games, he actually got off to an amazing start to the season. Through his first 20 games of the season, he was 13-6 with a solid 2.90 ERA. Through his final 16 games, 7-8 with a 3.90 ERA. So while his overall season ERA was just a hair better than average, he was in actuality streaky and was able to reach the 20 wins threshold due to his great first half. Also to note, Andujar was elite when receiving tons of run support and terrible when getting almost none. In 22 games started where he received at least 3 run support, Andujar has a shiny 2.69 ERA across 164 innings. In 14 games started with 2 or fewer run support, a 4.44 ERA across 97 1/3 innings pitched. That makes a ton of sense. Pitchers need runs to win ball games, and Andujar was fantastic when getting that support. What about in 1985 when he won 21 games? Well, just like 1984, Andujar got off to a scorching hot start to the season. Through his first 23 games of the season, he was 17-4 with a sparkling 2.31 ERA. Through his final 15 games, 4-8 with a 5.46 ERA. Exactly like 1984, his overall season ERA might have just been barely better than average, but he was incredibly streaky and basically had the 20 wins achieved before falling off. Unlike 1984, Andujar posted near identical stats regardless of run support, but in almost half of his starts, he received at least 6 runs of support, so he was able to easily rack up the victories. In conclusion, he was able to achieve this rare accomplishment twice due to his hot streaks and ample run support. We may never see a pitcher match Joaquin Andujar's feat ever again. He's the only player to have achieved this in the last 102 years, and nobody within the past 30 years has been able to have so much as one season like his, let alone 2 of them. Time will tell when or if another pitcher will win 20 games with stats that average, but it may take another 100 plus years until a pitcher can do it twice.